Okay, I'm going to do a quick video on this combustion leak tester. Alright, I believe this 2002 Dodge Caravan that I have has a blown head gasket, and I've done a lot of things to get to this point and been through a lot of different work and different repairs on this vehicle that I'm going to talk about real quick. But if you want to get to just the video of this, you can probably fast forward. There's other ones on YouTube where people do the test of this. This is brand new in the box. Just got it from Amazon, $56. We're going to give it a shot. See if we got a bad head gasket, and if I have to go through that extensive repair. So before I do that, so I had this 2002 Dodge Caravan that I purchased from a guy on Craigslist. Got a reasonable price. And the guy told me that it had a bad radiator, which it ended up having a bad radiator. I could see steam coming out of it. So I bought it anyways. He seemed like a pretty honest guy. So I bought it. I got a radiator off of Rock Auto, off the internet. Reasonable price, 80-some bucks. Replaced the radiator, and I did that using a YouTube video by Daniel Shear. Excellent YouTube video on replacing the radiator in a 2002 Dodge Caravan, 3.3 liter, by the way, engine. So I did that, but I'm pretty mechanical, so it wasn't that difficult. Took a little bit of time, a couple hours, 3-4 hours maybe, to get it done. So that's a doable job. I did that. At the same time as when I was doing that, I found that the outlet tube, inlet tube on the water pump, inlet tube coming from the bottom of the radiator, was also rusted out, so I purchased that. Had to buy that local. Cost about twice as much as what I would have got if I had bought it from Rock Auto. A little frustrating there. I did that. I also bought some hoses from Rock Auto. They didn't come in time, so I put the original hoses back on. I did all that, and then I noticed it was still seemed to be using up coolant. So I kept filling it and bleeding it. Ran a bunch of videos on how to purge it. Did all that. And day by day, I'm adding coolant. When I started up, every now and then the needle would go all the way to high, and then go back down. It would go cold air, hot air, random. Other videos, other things I read said, oh, it's low on coolant, might be the radiator cap, those sort of things. So I ended up buying a radiator cap, thinking, I mean, it's a long shot. I've never had a radiator cap go bad in my entire life, and I worked on cars since I was a kid. Replaced the radiator cap. That didn't help. So then I replaced the radiator, the reservoir overflow tube, so the one that comes from the radiator to the overflow tube, thinking, because it appeared that it was pushing fluid out, but not sucking anything back in from the reservoir. The reservoir was always tapped out and going on the ground. That didn't do anything either. Now, the symptoms there's a lot of different symptoms of having a blown head gasket, none of which this vehicle is exhibiting. There's no foaming in the dipstick, no foaming on the oil cap. There's no steam coming out of the exhaust. The coolant is colored fine. It's not showing any kind of combustion contamination. So this is kind of like, let's just be sure before we go and replace the head gasket, so assuming that might be it. I don't believe the water pump's bad. There's no indication of that. Water pumps usually leak, or they make some sort of noise when the bearing goes bad. They have movement. This one seems solid. There was absolutely no leaking under this vehicle at all. So I suspect it's a head gasket. Where it's actually going, I don't know. Maybe it's a small enough leak where it's just being burned up. So we're going to give that a shot. We'll give this baby a shot. Car is cold right now. I came out, opened it up. The radiator level is typical that far down, maybe 5-6 inches down from the cap. I don't think I'm going to take any more out than that, even though they say maybe you should. I'm going to reposition the camera here to give you a better view of what I'm doing, and then we'll get at it. Okay, yeah, so here we are. So this is actually the hose, overflow hose I replaced. It's much better quality than the one that came out of the vehicle, and I'm looking at the overflow right now, though. It's all the way to the top. And the last time I drove the vehicle and I parked, I came back out, there was coolant on the ground. So, you know, is the radiator cap still bad? I've read that these things can be bad right after you buy them. I don't know. If I do this test and it doesn't indicate there's a combustion issue, then maybe I'll buy another cap. I don't know. Everything else has been replaced, so I'm kind of at a loss. Anyways, right now the fluid's down. You know, I can't even touch it. It's right below my finger. So it's down there a ways. So here we go. Open this puppy up. Instruction sheet. This wonderful, fine-looking. So this is the doohickey that goes in here. I've actually seen this online, so I know a little bit about it. This is the liquid that apparently, when it mixes with combustion gases, it changes to green and or yellow. Yellow says test fluid turns yellow for gasoline, turns green for diesel. So I'm going to go ahead and read these quick instructions real quick, and then I'll edit that out if it takes too long. Okay, so what you got to do, take this little suction doohickey up top. This over here. Take this thing out. Take this one out. There's a line right here. You can probably see that fill line right there. Fill it up to that. My dog in the background wanting in the house. That's what I get to hear all the time. So we'll fill that up to the fill line, like so. Then, let's get over here, snap this puppy on top. So, there's another fill line. Apparently this was a single stage unit before, and then they found that was problematic, so they changed it. Probably charged more money for it. Here we are today with this. So here we go. Now, one of the symptoms of combustion gases, as I understand it, is when you see bubbles coming. You can actually see bubbles coming out of the coolant. I saw a little bit of that, but at the same time, it can be air escaping, because when you purge by squeezing the lines, you'll get air too. I didn't see anything consistent, and if it is, it's pretty slow. So there's still an outside chance that that was a symptom that I overlooked, or it just wasn't convincing enough to me to go ahead and change the head gasket. What you do here is you squeeze the rubber bulb completely and slowly, about 3 to 5 times for gasoline, 5 to 10 times for diesel, sucking air up through the fluid chambers. If after the bubbles, as the air bubbles up through the fluid, it will cause a chemical reaction if combustion gas is present, and will change the color of the fluid to yellow. It is the upper fluid chamber which will give the correct reading. Okay, so I think that's why they went to two chambers. The bottom chamber wasn't given an accurate reading. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Hopefully this thing won't fall to the ground. When I do that, you know what? I'm going to take it out of there, and I'm going to start it, and I'm going to come back. So hang tight. I don't want it to fall to the ground, because I just spent $56 freaking on this thing. Here's a little. All right. Start this baby up. Okay. By the way, this thing runs great. I've actually washed the engine a little bit, but I mean, it's actually an excellent vehicle. It runs great. I'm really hoping this isn't a big problem. I'm going to get back here and make sure we can see this. Yeah, it looks like we can. So, all right. Put this baby in here. So it's about the same level. Might have went down a little bit. I'm going to squeeze. Okay. 1, 2. Damn blue to me. 3, 4, 5. A couple more for good measure. It is not turning green at all. It is solid blue, which is good news, I guess. Yeah. Good and bad news. While I did not relish changing a head gasket on this beast, actually Daniel Shear did another video of that, and it was actually really, really good. He didn't go into a lot of step-by-step detail, but enough to show what you need to do it to get the job done. I'm pretty confident that I can do that as well, but I'm also equally pleased to find out that I don't have to do that. This stuff is blue as blue. It hasn't changed from the time it came out of the bottle, and I'm going to put it back in the bottle, but I'm not wasting it. It's absolutely fine. There is no combustion gas, no combustion gases in this radiator. So there you have it. Your test is complete.